Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of Polcast. We've got a great show tonight. Absolutely can't wait for it. We've been away for about, I think, a month, Leon? 3 weeks, something like that.
Oh, I can't remember. It's
Bradley's
like
away in the US doing things, taking pictures of everything. Leon's back, I'm back, Matthew's back, John's back. Let's get ready for tonight's show. So, Leon, how you doing tonight? You ready?
I'm tired, but yes.
Oh, you're tired. Why are you tired?
I'm always tired.
Always tired. Wasn't you watching Emmerdale earlier?
I was. It was very enjoyable.
That's why
Ross
it's making
came
you
back.
tired, because it's so goddamn boring, Leon.
Right, that's great.
Anyway, moving on to Matthew, the person who said Tim Farron is a bottom. He is indeed a bottom. How are you doing tonight, Matthew?
I'm fine. I'm glad you realised the correct episode title.
Oh, I always do. Matthew. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't like. But again, I reiterate Leon's tiredness in this, and
Leon is pretty tired today. So.
I do. I as
Worth
well.
noting, it took me half an hour to get this started because I couldn't work.
Well, half an hour is a bit, more like an hour. I would say
Yeah.
about an hour.
But I think
Wow.
Leon mentioning that he's tired has made me 50% more tired.
Yeah, I'm so tired right now. Unbelievable.
Right, should we skip this podcast?
And that was the show, everyone.
Let's start all over again. So, John, how are you doing tonight? You ready?
I'm really good,
You
actually. I don't feel
about
that
immigration, the EU,
all of it. Let's
all
talk
of it,
about
the
all of it.
fascists in Brussels, the Nazis in Ukraine.
Yeah,
In fact, we need to invade Syria and Iraq. You ready for tonight, John?
really ready now.
Really ready now. Okay, so the first topic for tonight's show is going to be the House of Lords. As you know, the Tories are going to be overflowing the House of Lords with people who were defeated at the general election, and the fact that House of Lords is going to have like 800, 900 members. So, does anyone want to get started on this debate?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't aware that William Hague was beaten at the last election.
I wasn't either.
Nobody told me that.
Well, Mr. Moat was definitely resigned, but he would have been beaten.
Well, I thought that it was mostly the Lib Dems that was
Well, the fact that David Cameron's going to be appointing the peers. That's my point.
Oh yeah, no one comes out of this House of Lords reveal looking very good, to be honest. Both the Tories and the Lib Dems have a series of questions to answer.
Such as...
yeah.
Well, why you think it's all right for someone who was investigated by the police over their moat should be appointed to be a peer of the realm. Why you feel it's all right that several people who donated money to your party should be appointed as peers of the realm. Why it is that UKIP, despite getting 4 million votes, will get no new peers.
Right.
So it's sour grapes, John.
It's anger at criminals being given even more power and sour grapes.
Mostly sour grapes, though.
John, who would you want from UKIP to be in the House of Lords?
Stephen Wolf.
Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage, Stephen Wolf.
Nigel Farage.
No, Nigel Farage. But yeah, I just think it's really. I don't like how beaten ex-MPs have been, particularly Lib Dem ones, have gone into the House.
Definitely Lib Dems are the blame here. Lib Dems are bastards.
And
Well, they've given seats.
Lib Dems are bastards.
They've given peerages to their donors, which Labour got investigated by the police for. So yeah, they are being bastards.
well, who's like got into the House of Lords who are a bit dodgy that in like daughters wise.
People in the House of Lords.
Douglas Hogg, he's well and truly got his snout in the
No,
trough.
I mean for God's sake. Right, daughters wise. Forget about ex-politicians or just daughters wise.
Well,
Who's
I've got the list of all of the people who've been nominated, and I can't find any just like donors or anything like that.
There's obviously that Moore. Is it Michelle Moore?
Michelle Moan, yeah.
Yes, but I think she's a donor, but she's also heading up the Startup Business Review for the Conservative, for the government as well. So He's
Well, like the donors have like other jobs within the parties, but their main function appears to be giving them more money.
Well, they get about £200 for just turning up for a day. So normally it's a part-time job. Normally they have other things to do, and then they'll turn up the House of Lords randomly. There's not many, because actually there is, there's about 800, 900 House of Lords here. It's the second biggest legislator after China. And so
that's not a good
the
place
majority
to
of
be.
peers don't actually do anything. The majority of peers don't even turn up once.
I like Ming Campbell's phrase that he was only accepting it to make the case for reform from within.
I think he had the Jenny Jones as well. Jenny Jones did
make
exactly
the
the same.
case of reform for what? So he's been in the House of Commons for how long? And he hasn't made the case for reform there. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not
I don't
his.
see how you can make the case for reform in the House of Lords. The House of Lords can't do anything to do about that. They'll never vote to abolish House of Lords. Or make it
I found the
electoral
list
college.
of Lib Dem donors who got appointed to the House of Lords.
How many is that? A lot?
Duncan Greenland, he's given them 316,000. Richard Duncalf, he's given them 216,000. So Anthony Ullman, he's given them 108,000. And Ian Wright, he's given them 32,000.
Ian Wright, the ex-Arsenal.
I assume it's a different one.
I was going to say, I didn't know he supported Lib Dems.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
What is one's qualification to get into the House of Lords? Because I'm looking at this list, and some of them, I wouldn't trust them to run a bath.
I don't think there is any qualifications. It's just
I really don't understand it.
you just get appointed. There's no qualification.
I mean, I don't get it. But I know what you mean about some losers. I mean, Don Foster, former MP for Bath, he's been appointed. I know what you mean about, basically...
He ran Bath, didn't he?
Oh, when you joke back...
The former MP for Bath couldn't run a bar.
Yeah. But I kind of know what you mean when, they get rejected by the electorate, so they go, it's alright, I've got a back door into other place. It is a bit dodgy, that kind of thing about it. I mean, if they're resigning, like, for example, William Hague, then that's alright.
Some of them resigned because they knew they'd lose, like you
not
mentioned
William
Hogg
Hague.
earlier.
Richmond's the most safe Conservative seat
Oh
in
no,
the country.
I didn't mean William Hague. I meant some of the others, like Hogg. You mentioned the expenses guy. Lots of the expenses guys.
What an unfortunate name.
If you repeat that joke again, I swear to God, I'm gonna.
You have to admit, it was a good joke.
That was really
It
good.
wasn't. It was a horrible joke.
But what does everyone want to do with the House of Lords?
I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think the time has come for some serious reform of it, because it's just kind of got ridiculous, having 900 members.
There has to be some reform, obviously, but I don't think an elected House of Lords is a good idea myself.
We will get some reform in this Parliament.
You could almost have it that the Lords would be sort of based on the vote of the general election, but purely proportional.
I still don't think that's the answer, because even those
What's
people
the answer, Lily?
The answer is to have a 100% elected House of Lords. That's the answer. It would address the problem incredibly easy. Every peer that you have at the moment would no longer be a peer. And you have an election. You have it under proportional representation, and you have it similar to the United States.
Why don't we
And
just
every
accept
6 years-
communism while we're at it?
I'm not clapping, though, Leon, am I? I'm not clapping right now, so I'm not a communist. Okay? The key would be what you have in the United States is to have a 100% elected House of Lords, and to change the power relation between the House of Commons and House of Lords to make it completely balanced. So the House of Lords can propose legislation, and the House of Commons can propose legislation.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you then end up with the United States system where the two places fight and never get anything done.
That is one of the big criticisms. I think then again, you could adjust the power slightly to make the House of Commons slightly superior. I think having it proportion wouldn't solve the answer, because those people actually in the House of Lords wouldn't technically be elected. People didn't vote for them. They voted for the House of Commons to be that type of proportion. So they didn't elect the House of Lords to be that proportion.
Didn't your party, Lily, vote against the reforms?
They voted against the Lib Dem proposal to have 15-year terms, yeah. And I still
15-year terms is silly.
Because that's what the Lib Dems proposed. That's when the Lib Dems say to Labour, you voted against House of Lords before. Well, we voted against House of Lords before 15 terms. In my opinion, that's not democratic at all, 15-year terms. That's 5-year terms, not 15-year terms.
What is it for the Senate in America? Because I know they only have 100 members.
Yeah,
What are the terms for that? Because they're quite long, aren't they?
6-year terms.
6?
Yeah.
Is that it? I thought
Every
they were longer.
2 years, a third is elected. So for 2016, a third of the Senate will be elected, and in 2018, a third, and etc.
Oh, it's like a council.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to the council.
Except a really big one.
A really big and powerful council.
Yeah. Dear me.
It's solved the solution because the problem is the House of Lords is too big. You can solve that problem. And another problem is that they're just full of party donors. You know, you can get into the House of Lords not because you're clever, not because you're talented, not because you're competent, but because, why don't you have a House of the Tories or Labour?
I mean, I know what you
At
mean.
referendum. At least have a referendum. I think that's important.
I know what you mean, because I kind of when people do say, "Oh, but the House of Lords is the the House of the expertise," I think, no, not particularly.
It used to be. It really used to be. Isn't it?
And then they got rid of the hereditaries.
Good.
Most of them.
Bloody Blair.
Blair, looking up systems that worked.
God damn it, Blair, trying to make the House of Lords more democratic. Outrageous! How dare he?
Yeah, he tried to and failed utterly because he filled it with his cronies.
Yeah, that's Blair, isn't that? Instead of Clinton.
Oh yeah, Blair.
God damn it, Blair.
Blair ruins everything.
Yeah.
Blair even ruins Labour's leadership election.
Oh,
Everyone.
Blair ruins public reviews.
Public reviews?
Public reviews?
Public inquiries, even.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That inquiry is never going to come out.
I
It's
think
never going to come out. It has to come out at some point.
it'll come out eventually.
Even if you have to prise it out of the dead hands of
Yeah.
Chilcock.
Well, that got dark
Tony
quickly.
Blair will have it in his tomb and you'll have to go in and find it.
Yeah, get it at his desk. It's on the desk.
Who do you think's holding up the inquiry, though? Because obviously it's because of the
Blair.
Macmillan.
I don't think it's just Blair. I think
It's not just Blair. I think it's a whole group of them going, hey, Chilcock, please. For the
I
love
think
of
it's a
God.
load of people who've got the lawyers out and are trying to get some stuff edited out.
It's obviously people who have been criticised in the
Yeah.
inquiry. Because that's what's holding it up, is because if you criticise someone in an inquiry before it's published, you have the right to reply. So obviously they're not replying, or they're taking too long, or you can't release that,
Oh yeah,
communication.
there's a number of people. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a few politicians and some people in the intelligence services who are just...
Or it could be down to the US saying, no, you can't release those, I think, telephone communications or emails between the US president and Tony Blair. Because I think Tony
That
Blair
could be
went to-
interesting, actually. The US doesn't want phone calls of the president being published. That could be
It
true,
could be,
actually.
because I think Tony Blair went to Camp David in like late 2002, and that was the time when Tony Blair said, yeah, we're going to be with you 100%. And I think it was like, oh, what did they say?
Well, yeah,
Maybe
the
it's because of
Americans through the entire Chilcot inquiry, though, have just not said anything, because
Well,
it's fair enough, but it does mean that it gives them a way of squirming out of any blame or any pressure that they have put on people.
So if it is the Americans' fault, Bradley, you're in America. If you're listening, get it sorted.
he probably died by now. Rest in peace, Bradley.
Wow.
He's in Vegas, like, getting to try out heavy machine guns on
He's
targets.
been having sex with like an abundance of sex workers and having so much fun. That's what he's been doing.
Even though he's on the other side of America.
He said he turned on by voice in the US.
He said he
Right.
Important stuff, Lily.
Yeah.
When's the Labour leadership election going to stop being a farce?
Not a farce. What are you talking about?
Absolute farce.
It's an absolute. It's like a dog's dinner. basically.
How's it
Do
wrong?
we-
A really sick
Right, okay,
dog. Still.
okay. Everyone here who thinks this is a farce, who thinks this is a joke, criticize the process right now and let me respond in a minute. What's the problem with it, Leon?
The
Why
candidates.
the candidates? Why did you do that policy of £3 affiliation fee to vote in the election?
Oh no, I really like that. It's just the candidates are either really vacuous, actually really good but hated by the membership, or a bit weird, actually believe things but will still lose.
Well,
So-
I mean, sorry, go on, John.
So the problem is the people that are utterly pointless and will lose later the election are actually doing the best.
My interesting thing about it is, I mean, I don't think the £3 to become a registered supporter is necessarily a bad thing.
Oh no, it's
o-
great.
It's open to abuse, and everybody knew that from the start. But it's how Labour's reacted to it. I mean, they basically said, "Oh, come on, we want you all to join us and vote for our leaders, then hopefully you'll vote for us at the next election." It was a cheap vote grabber and a bit of a money maker as well. And as soon as they've realised, "Oh crap, we've screwed this one up, haven't we?" They're now just going through purging everyone.
Including their own even union leaders, and Mark Steele has been rejected.
Yeah, people they want to win back, like Lib Dem and Green voters.
They're rejecting because they might have flirted with the idea of voting Lib Dem once, which is a worse crime than Stalin ever committed.
I do think you guys are being really, really harsh on the process, though.
I don't think I'm being harsh enough.
I think
I-
the £3
I'd
registration
more
to
harsh
have a
on
vote. I think the £3. Sorry, John. The £3 registration to be a supporter and have a vote. I don't have a problem with that. I think the first criticism I would make, which I think is legitimate, is I do think the Labour Party has gone harsh in so far as rejecting people who simply retweeted or supported a party's policy, for instance, or simply voted for another party at the last general election. You know, in the case of me, I've been a Labour Party member since late 2012, and I've criticised the Labour Party quite a lot. I've criticised them on trans rights, I've criticised them on drugs, I've criticised them on surveillance. I can be very, very critical of the Labour Party. And I've retweeted stuff from the Greens, from the Lib Dems. For example, the Lib Dems on drugs, I think they've got a lot better policy on drugs. I think simply retweeting the party's tweet and simply saying, "Oh, you can't have a vote," I do think that's absurd. But I think in terms of making sure someone doesn't have a vote and they're a Tory, that's right. Or in the case that they've actually sponsored other candidates from another party, i.e. the person from the PCS, you can't remember his name, but he supported candidates from the TUSC. I mean, if you're supporting candidates from another party, you don't support Labour values because you're directly sponsoring. It isn't the case
So
that you
Jeremy
vote.
Corbyn congratulated George Galloway on beating Labour when
Yeah,
he won.
that's completely.
Should
That's another example. But you've also got the case of.
But Jeremy Corbyn's running for the leadership of the Labour Party and he's supporting people who are outside the Labour
Yes,
Party.
completely absurd. Also, you've got the case of the. I can't remember his name, but he's part of the National NHS Action Party. And he's the on the executive committee.
Did he actually support Galloway?
He congratulated him.
Congratulated him.
I saw the retweet earlier. He said it was a great thing and blah, blah, blah.
Congratulating is not really the same as
But
supporting.
it's still, is that really. Jeremy Corbyn's got a really, really strange record. From the IRA, Irish Republicanism, meeting people from. I don't think it's Hamas, but it's one of those terrorist groups. And then you've also got the case. Hezbollah, yeah.
Who are arguably worse than Hamas.
They are worse than Hamas, yeah, because they're committing rocket attacks against Israel in Lebanon. But he's got a very, very strange record, Jeremy Corbyn. Plus, he's rebelled like 800, so many times. You're rebelling 300 times or whatever. I don't know this.
I like the idea of him imposing a 3-line whip on his MPs. I really like that idea.
I like the idea that the MPs will rebel instantly if he wins.
I just can't wait until Labour Party MPs rebel and they said, "Oh, why are you rebelling? You can't do that."
Because you did.
You did rebel too many times.
Did you all hear Danzuk's comment that they'd try and redo the election if he won?
I've heard tweets from Labour Party people saying they're going to organise a coup.
They can organise a coup.
They can organise. Well, yeah, but the problem is their definition of a coup is making it difficult for them.
That's
not a coup. A coup is getting rid of.
Do they know what a coup
That's
is?
just every day in the Tory party.
Yeah, they simply said that they're going to try to force him to resign, but trying to force someone isn't a coup, is it?
What? So do they know? Does the Labour Parliamentary Party know that they can actually take him out?
I don't know the specific rules. Yeah, I'm just an ordinary Labour member who has a lot of political opinions. I don't know the specific Labour Party rules. But I'm
sure if they have enough MPs to
can have another election.
But even 30 odd, I think it's 30 odd.
40.
If they have another election, then Labour's lost 2020.
I think the case with the rules is if someone stands against them and has like 48, 47, something like that, MPs, I think they can have an election. I think at a special date, special convening, because Tony Benn challenged Neil Kinnock in 1988 and there was an election. So I think there's another election. But the problem with having an election is that the parties of the board are going to back Corbyn again. I don't think you can actually stop. You can kick him out and then not allow him to stand again. I think that's the problem.
But the thing is, isn't it having, if you make a snap election with 30 to 40 MPs, isn't it only the parliamentary party voting?
For the leader?
Yeah.
I think it's for the members.
Is it all the whole entire party?
I don't know about the whole entire party, but I think it's the members. I don't think it's just decided by the MPs.
Is it the Tory party who has, like, if it's a snap election, it's only the parliamentary party?
It's just the parliamentary party. We've only recently put in place having members voting for leaders, and that went wrong the first time.
Yeah, that was from 2001, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was when... was that when William Hague? No, it wasn't, was it?
It was
Ian Duncan Smith.
2001.
What a mistake that was.
It's such a bad. Is that such a bad rule though, Leon? Because they just kick the best guy out of the race, don't they? Because only the top two vote by the members.
Yeah, only the top two gets voted on by members. The two are voted by parliamentary party.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Andy Burnham, by the way? Sorry to intervene.
I was actually going to vote for Andy Burnham.
Is that because you're a kipper and you want to fuck Labour up, or is that?
Yes, that is literally the reason. The problem with Andy Burnham is, despite him having a really good record of rising to the top, and obviously having the will to succeed, he doesn't believe in anything. He's reinvented himself completely for this election.
But he's definitely not a Westminster politician, you know. He's not from the Westminster.
Oh no, I didn't say that. I just don't think he... I think the one thing he wants is to be in charge, and I don't think he will say anything, can do anything, believe anything to get there, and therefore he'd be terrible for Labour into the election, because everyone could dig up what he used to think.
Mm.
I mean, I remember going on this podcast and also Spectrum Debates, I think, about the Labour leadership, and I've repeatedly said Andy Burnham's a fraud, because I've heard from his spat that he's more right than people realise, and I think that's the case now. I mean, when the leadership election started, and when Jeremy Corbyn was out in the race, I remember on, I think it was the Andrew Marr show, he was saying, oh, we need a tougher line on immigration, we need a tougher line on welfare, and he seemed to tack towards the centre, and then as soon as Jeremy Corbyn's in the race, he said, oh, I'm going to abolish tuition fees, I'm going to renationalise the railway. Yeah, like a couple of months ago, he was against renationalisation of the railway.
Andy Cooper's pointed that one out as well. In fact, she basically said, look, either you're going to try and take Corbyn on or not. If you don't want to, then step aside and I'll do it for you. I thought, fair play to you.
Andy Burnham is Blair Mark II. He's a very good politician.
He is not Blair.
He's not as good a politician as Blair, but he's equally principleless. He will say anything, do anything, adopt any position, as long as it advances his cause.
To be honest, I think Tony Blair's got a bit more principle.
He's really like Burnham is nowhere near Blair in anywhere.
Definitely an heir to Blair.
No, seriously. If that's an heir, I would have I would have killed him at birth.
I mean, there's a lot to criticise Tony Blair for, but he doesn't change his opinion in 2 months. To be honest, Andy Burnham on that nationalisation on the railway.
I think you like Blair a lot more than I do. I don't give Blair any credit.
Well, yeah. I mean, you hate the EU. You despise immigration entirely.
I like immigration. If we're going to talk about immigration...
No, it's fine. Let's carry on talking about Andy Burnham. Let's keep talking about Andy Burnham.
Avoiding the important subjects as usual.
The thing is, I reckon he's done good from being a plasterer from Southport, as he wants to be known as.
Oh, I completely agree. Burnham has the will to succeed and triumph and rise to the top. He's got real ambition. His main problem is that in an election, everyone will just see that he doesn't believe anything, really.
I mean, that's why I personally put Yvette Cooper first, this Kendall second, Jeremy Corbyn third, and Andy Burnham fourth. Simply because I disagree with a lot of Jeremy Corbyn said, especially on NATO and on some parts of the economy, foreign affairs, etc., etc. But at least I know where Jeremy Corbyn stands. Andy Burnham's a big fraud. He will do anything to win the leadership. Because, even in opposition, everyone said when Andy Burnham was one of the most popular cabinet ministers, and he was Minister for Health, everyone's saying, oh, look, Andy Burnham's finally found his spot. He's on the centre-left, he's a good guy. As soon as the election starts, tax towards the centre, Jeremy Corbyn goes in the right, tax towards the left. He's completely messed up. I hope he loses.
I hope he loses spectacularly, just because I don't like him.
Who wins, then?
Who Andy Burnham or
Andy
Burnham.
Did you just say Andy Burnham?
Andy Corbyn, yeah.
Andy Corbyn. Okay.
It's
Andy Corbyn 2016.
Andy Corbyn 2025.
What does everyone think about women-only carriers as well, by the way?
It seems to be Corbyn's idea that he's put forward. Interestingly, he's so different from all other politicians, he has to take that from the Tory Claire Perry. Which is quite interesting for people who are going on about how he's so different from everyone else, yet he can't even come up with an original idea by himself.
It's kind of amusing that I've lived to see the time where separate but equal has made a comeback into public life. I mean, it's all very well saying some people are in danger, therefore we need to separate them. But where does it end? I bet all the racists in Rotherham are going, oh, well, we need separate things for white girls here because of X, Y, and Z, and rubbing their hands in glee. I mean, it's it's probably very nice, very good reasoning at heart, but it opens a very dangerous can of worms.
It does, but can you imagine if anyone else said it other than Jeremy Corbyn? I mean, Jeremy Corbyn, frankly, could say, let's start the Fourth Reich, and his supporters would go along with it, because they're stupid, frankly.
Jeremy Corbyn has the advantage that he's seen as some sort of left-wing messiah, and therefore all the left-wingers, no matter what, will see him as the left-wing messiah.
He's a bit like a left-wing version of Nigel Farage.
The fact is, there is no. I think personally, there is no difference. There is no difference to. Has Lily's gone?
She's restarting a laptop.
Oh, fair enough. There's no difference between saying we should have black-only carriages and women-only carriages.
Like I said, it opens up a can of worms with all the... I hate to say it, but I think lots of racists, lots of bigots would use it as an excuse to start dividing people up so they can start causing trouble.
It would. I mean, Lynn Featherstone, funnily enough, she put on Facebook, and she had it right. She basically said, if you want to deal with people harassing women on carriages, deal with them. Don't just take women away, because it doesn't deal with the attitudes and the behaviours that allow that to happen.
It doesn't deal with taking women away from society.
Well, also, I was reading a very interesting blog by a train historian, and this had been tried before, not 1997 but earlier. And the problem was, late at night, the women's only carriages, that'd sort of be preyed upon because people who wanted to commit crimes against women knew there'd be no one there to stop them, apart from the odd women.
It wouldn't work. It would make things worse. That's a nice ringtone, whoever's it is.
Sorry.
So we've lost John now.
We're slowly losing people.
Yeah, I mean, soon you'll go and then I'll be left talking to myself. But no, it's just... my problem with it is, imagine if anyone else had said that. Anyone outside Labour anyway. And there would be absolute outrage.
There would... And also, what's is not stop. It won't stop sexual harassment, because what will happen is you'll come off the train, and if a person wants to rape you, they'll rape you on either outside the station or on some alleyway.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's an unfortunate fact. They're gonna sexually assault you either way, because they're like that. They're horrible people. No, only women's carriages will not stop them.
it doesn't deal with the problem of these people thinking they can do whatever they want to women. It doesn't deal with the problem at heart, which is never a good thing. And I believe we have Lily back now.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. My computer demanded that I reset my laptop in the next 10 minutes, so I might go out.
You have some right problems with technology, don't you?
I know, I keep breaking stuff. I don't know how. My laptop just crashes.
Everything touch crumbles and dies. Lily, 2015.
I know. All me.
Right, get back on to women-only carriages.
Women-only carriages. Right.
Where we left it was that problem, while it may seem like it's trying to be nice and this, that, and the other, it doesn't deal with the root of the problem. Some men think it's their right. Yeah,
don't deal with the victims. Don't deal with the victims of rape. Deal with the rapists.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for complete honesty, just to make sure why I start on this. Jeremy Corbyn hasn't technically proposed this policy, but he said he was going to listen to women. That's the first thing I'll say. Second of all, I do think women-only carriages, I tweeted about this yesterday, it's one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard in my life. You know, in terms of an idea, it's so stupid. I can understand where they're coming from, but can I just say this first of all, as a trans person, this is probably most likely going to exclude non-binary people who aren't going to be allowed to go on either side. And also, you know, if trans people don't pass as cis, they're going to be saying, oh, you know, you're not a woman, you can't go in the female-only carriage. So the first thing I'll say is it does increase the risk of transphobia, especially when, for example, trans women go into female toilets. There's a big risk that they're being assaulted by cis people. Second of all, I think I completely agree with you guys here, is that it doesn't address the root cause of this. You know, simply saying, you know, oh, we're going to have a female-only carriage, it doesn't really address the key issue. So, to be honest, I kind of agree with all of you guys on this.
Yeah, it doesn't stop men thinking, or these particular men thinking they can do whatever the hell they like to women.
It won't stop them coming off that train and sexually assaulting them, either at the station or outside the station.
Or even just going into the carriage. I mean, it's like you've just said.
What they're going to do? Because
it's ridiculous.
The thing is,
also from a practical standpoint, I live in Aberystwyth. The train here has 2 carriages because that's all that they can afford for this. Are we saying it now needs 3 at least, and another one in case some women don't want particular women there? Those Lily mentioned transphobia, so we need 4 carriages now. Where are we going to get those from?
Well, to be fair though, John, they're not going to really address the transition. To be honest.
I mean, given that the railways will be nationalised if Corbyn get into power, so we'll have to, like, you know, it'll be public money going into these new carriages for women.
Well, first of all, I think it's good that he wants to propose to renationalise the railways. I think the fact that we subsidise railway companies to billions of pounds seems to me to be completely absurd. We're going to subsidise a public good which is a natural monopoly, billions of pounds. I think quite obviously it needs to be renationalised. That's something I would say to you.
I'm having a deep thought about this. Because I agree with you. Me and Leon would talk about this before.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, like, capitalism, it cannot work in the railways. True capitalism, true competition can work in the railways. Because we can't have loads of competition, loads of companies, or, like, working trains, because they'll just be unpractical and quite dangerous, to be fair. So,
I mean, I was thinking about it when I was getting angry with buses earlier, because buses in Doncaster are crap. And I was just thinking, wouldn't it be better if if there was some choice? But of course, there's very little choice when you know, you've only got one route, and it's the same with trains. How can you compete when you've got one route?
Well, this is the very interesting thing with our public transport. It's a very complex system because we have nationalised bits, private bits, and on the same bit, like the railway, for example, it does have nationalised parts, and then the rail companies run things along the nationalised part, they're private. So it's overly complicated, and there is arguments for reforming it in some way.
I mean, to be honest, this is a big reason why I'm a Keynesian. You know, being a Keynesian, I fully support capitalism. I think it works, but it doesn't work in every single system. You don't privatise prisons, for instance, because it increases demand for prisons. That's absurd. You don't privatise water companies because you cannot produce, an extra
Cannot have a load of pipes
water pipes. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
with pipes all around.
But if even Milton Friedman recognised that you can't have competition everywhere, and that was his argument. That was his argument against nationalising the roads. Privatising the roads, because his argument was, when it comes to something like roads, where people don't necessarily want choice on it, they just want it for its practical use. You're going to end up with one of two monopolies. You can either have the public monopoly, in which you get the chance to change the management every few years, or the private monopoly, where you have no chance to change the management.
Yeah, Milton Friedman's 100% right. It's the same for the railways.
That is why I'm toying with the idea of
definitely have a look at the arguments, Matthew. I think, I can't remember his name, he's the brother of Christopher Hitchens. He's a conservative Christian. He wrote in the Daily Mail advocates renationalisation of the railways. You do have
Peter Hitchens.
Peter Hitchens, thank you very much.
Peter
Hitchens advocates it as well.
I'm not taking my political opinion of Peter.
I know, but what I'm saying is it
Peter
also comes
Hitchens
from the right.
You leave Peter Hitchens alone.
Interestingly about Peter Hitchens, though, he's never called himself right-wing. In fact, when someone asked him what his sort of utopia of a country would be and suggested it would be right-wing, he said, why would it be right-wing? So
Peter Hitchens comes from a very left-wing place.
Well, he was a Marxist-Leninist.
Yeah.
In his youth. But
kind of odd, him and his brother, they sort of like swapped places.
Yeah, exactly. But he's never called himself right-wing. He calls himself a conservative, but a conservative isn't necessarily always right-wing. It's got to be
the Conservative Party as well, isn't he, Leon?
Sorry?
He's very against the actual Conservative Party because
he doesn't see them as conservative, but this happens all the time.
Well,
where
they're not really conservatives at all. The Conservative Party.
But this is an interesting thing about conservatism. People assume it has to be completely rigid and one place. The Conservative Party of today, of course, isn't the Conservative Party of Disraeli, but the Conservative Party of Churchill wasn't the party of Disraeli either. And this book that I'm always promoting, Conservatives of History, it actually, for the chapters for each leader, it splits it. Instead of saying so-and-so as leader, it will say so-and-so's party. So, for example, Heath's party, Thatcher's party, it splits them as being different parties.
The answer to that, of course, is that while that's all very well and true, and I'll have to read that book at some point, you must admit the change recently has been much more jarring to many people as it used to be.
What changes that?
The leadership under Cameron.
But what changes it? What's the substantive change that makes it completely non-conservative? Sorry?
The occupation of the centre ground.
Right, and what's wrong with that? Conservative doesn't necessarily mean right-wing.
The Conservative doesn't mean centre either. It means a particular set of values. And
it means a set of values, but they're not rigid values. If Conservatives hadn't changed since the 1870s, the party wouldn't exist anymore. That's just a fact.
Very true. And the Conservatives being one of the oldest parties in the world, you must admit it must have changed quite a bit. But what I'm saying is the change recently has been much more vigorous, much more jarring to many of its members.
But look where it was, and this is the interesting thing about the grassroots of a party. The fact of the matter is the grassroots of a party are usually wrong, and we're seeing that now with the Labour Party. We saw it in the 80s, and we're seeing it now again. The Conservatives were about to enter a similar thing, especially when they voted for Ian Duncan Smith. William Hague tried it when he was trying to say, let's not bang on about immigration, because people had heard it all before. And then he went and banged on about immigration.
Isn't a popular subject anymore.
No, but he made some good points about basically saying we can't bang on about the same old stuff because that's the same old Tories, as we're seeing. And then he did, and it got him nowhere. And what's his Ian Duncan Smith? He didn't even bother trying it. Michael Howard did the same thing. He lost as well. David Cameron did something else. He didn't necessarily win, but he got closer than anyone else did. So I think he's been a very successful leader, in fairness to him. And if some of the older fuddy-duddies want to leave because it's not Tory enough and they want to go off to UKIP or whoever else, then bye-bye.
Can you really say it's only the old fuddy-duddies, though?
It mostly is. It's either the old fuddy-duddies or young folk who don't know history. It genuinely is. It's either the old fuddy-duddies who don't like change or the young fuddy-duddies who don't actually know what the word Conservative means, they don't know where it comes from, they don't know anything about the history of their own party, and people who generally get on my nerves.
Like, what's it called?
No. Anyway, moving on.
Your leader's ex-advisor, what's he called?
Raheem Kassan.
Raheem Kassam.
He's got no idea what he's talking about. He's always going to.
I actually owe him a drink now I think about it, but hey ho.
Who actually thought that libertarianism and conservatism were the same thing?
Didn't really think that.
Actually had a go at Oliver Cooper for being part of conservatives
Correct me
while
if I'm
being
wrong
also
here.
libertarian.
Libertarian's the better wing of conservatism.
Yeah. I don't think the Conservative Party's ever been libertarian.
No, it's never been a libertarian party. Theresa May put us right on that one when she actually. No, seriously, she basically came out with it and she said we're the Conservative Party, not the Libertarian Party.
The Conservative Party is about spying on people. It is
Yeah,
not
the most
about respecting
authoritarian
people's
person
privacy.
in the Conservative Party is saying we're not libertarian.
Yeah, but that's one of the only right things she said. We're not the Libertarian Party, and if people want to join a Libertarian Party, well, there is one that pretends to be one. It's called the Libertarian Party. UKIP have stopped pretending to be libertarian now.
Well, one of the main reasons I'm conservatives is that we'll never get anywhere with power. You cannot do anything without power. So
Well, don't tell that to Corbyn supporters.
Oh,
I'll go after you.
so
they seem to think, Corbyn supporters, that you can stay out of power for as long as possible by your own fault and then blame the people in power when things go wrong. Well, no, it's your own fault at the end of the day, because if you want to tell voters they're wrong, if you want to demonise voters for voting quote-unquote the wrong way, then that's your own stupid fault, you moron.
I don't think it's...
You said having
Go on, John.
basically called everyone who doesn't back Cameron an old fuddy-duddy.
No, and if people don't back Cameron for any other, if they don't like his policies, then fair enough. But what I'm talking about is the old fuddy-duddies who don't like any sort of change. They're the people who get on my nerves.
Yeah,
And if they don't like it, then that's fair enough. But to go on as though it should never happen, and that's what conservatism is just silly, and it's not true.
I don't think it's actually bad telling the voters they're wrong. You need to actually do it in a progressive way. You need to say to voters, look, you're wrong on immigration because X, Y, and Z. Simply to call them Tories, and simply to say they're racist, simply saying they're utterly wrong. That's not the way to go about it. But it's all about providing an argument and telling them why they're wrong in a rational,
Progressive klaxon.
persuasive way. Yeah, progressive klaxon. And you can actually persuade them. Like Tony Benn said, politicians need to be signposts, not weathercocks. And they can do that, but they can't do it in this aggressive way, calling them all Tories. That's not.
No, that's fair enough, because I don't see anything wrong with telling voters they're wrong either. I think mostly.
I like convincing people there's a better way. I don't like telling them wrong.
No, you never tell them they're wrong because they'll get offended by that. Because every voter thinks they're right about everything.
Tell them they're wrong, though, if they're wrong. I don't see the problem with that.
I don't either. I've done it plenty of times.
That's a very good way of looking at it, but I personally think a better way would be X, Y, and Z.
Well, that's just an example, telling them they're wrong because of
Yeah, that's
I've
just
never used the
polite.
word wrong.
It's about just providing, in my opinion, I don't know if they're wrong.
But what
I
I'm
can
saying,
provide
John,
an
what is a conservative?
Tell us, John, what is it?
What is a
How
Tell
did
us,
this
John, what is a conservative?
I think it's time to move on about the US politics, isn't it, John? What is
Yeah.
This is something that's come up in the Republican debates recently. Lots of the candidates, it has been pointed out, don't subscribe to proper Republican values. Yeah, air quotes. So therefore, obviously enjoy selling out their principles like they would their wife. Basically.
Really awesome. I've got to say,
And what's
really
interesting about
enjoyable.
this is, unlike most internet insults, this one actually made it to the mainstream and got talked about by lots of the Republican news sites.
Out of interest, did any of that? Because I've not actually. I've watched about 15 minutes of that debate, of the Republican debate.
first one.
Did either of the? Yeah. Oh, there's been a second one. I'm being
No,
serious. I'm a little
I
bit
don't think there's been a
behind.
second one.
There
Yeah,
hasn't been
go
a
on.
second one yet.
Oh right,
There hasn't
okay.
been
But
a second
did
one,
any of
I
the
don't think.
candidates call each other a conservative?
No, there was a lot of betting on it. Everyone expected Trump to call Jeb Bush one.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Who do you think won the debate, though, John? The
Personally,
Yeah.
I think it was a draw, actually. I think both Ben Carson and Rand Paul did very well, with Marco Rubio being just
Rand
behind
Paul.
Yeah.
But Ben Carson did amazingly well.
I think Paul Rubio did very, very well. I don't think Rand Paul did very well. Rand Paul's very, very strange. Rand Paul's very, very strange because he's against big government, yet he wants abortion banned. I don't really understand that. And that's
Does he
why I don't
actually
like
want
him.
abortion banned?
Yeah,
I've not seen that.
Or he's like, oh, we'll allow it to stay, they ban it. You know, he's
Yeah, it's like he personally doesn't like it, but he'll allow people to legislate for it away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the definition of libertarian, though.
Well, it's not really, Leon. It's simply
It
saying,
is.
I'm against big government, but I'm going to allow governments to ban it.
Yeah, but
not
from his
anything mean.
perspective, by standing for president, he's talking about the federal government, not the...
But it's still big
state
government, isn't it? It's-
I know what you mean, because I see it the same way. There's something funny about when people call, oh, I'm sick of big government this, and then they
I think
want more big government.
Maybe it's because it's my British perspective that it doesn't make any difference either the federal government bans it or state government bans it. It's still government, you know?
I would argue that Rand Paul isn't a full libertarian. I mean, I'm not either.
He's not.
But
Yeah, that's my point.
him
He's
going-
not really libertarian.
he's
I've
not
read
full
this point
libertarian, but
before.
compared to the rest of them, he's more libertarian.
Yeah, I mean...
That's Republican standards, though, isn't it? I mean,
Oh, no, I mean all
I'm
of
a
them.
libertarian according to their standards, and I'm technically a socialist.
No, I mean all the candidates, even the libertarian candidate who's odd.
Yeah.
He's nuts.
He's
But-
nuts.
But to anyone who didn't watch the debate, I would say that Donald Trump. Why are you laughing, Leon? I would say
He's
that.
nuts, I love that name.
Oh yeah, he
No.
came third in one of the Republican polls. No, it was one of the polls. It was Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, D's nuts.
No.
Nuts anyway.
I think he got 10% of the vote.
Oh.
Is that actually a person who's just?
No,
or is it
it's
just
just-
nothing?
Oh.
D's nuts.
I found the website, I think.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, why do you think Rand Paul won the debate? Because I just went off. I had to restart because it was going all jittery and I couldn't hear anyways. So, why do you think, John, Rand Paul was tied?
Why do I think Rand Paul was tied? Firstly, because he didn't make an arse of himself like a couple of the other candidates.
That's the reason the winner debate. Didn't fuck up.
Yeah, don't fuck up, unlike some of the other people. So, second of all, he didn't try just to appeal to the Republican base, which is something I've always liked about Rand Paul. Lots of the Republican base is all for invading every country that looks funny at America, and then nuking them if they don't give up.
Every country.
What?
You want to invade every single country. John.
No, I don't. Anyway.
Oh my god, D's Nuts is actually a character. The person who's behind it is actually 15.
Amazing.
But D's Nuts is apparently already on the ballot in 30 states.
Not even eligible to be president. You know what I
No,
mean?
he's not.
Hillary
Because
Clinton,
it's-
38%, Donald Trump, 40%, D's nuts, 10%.
But because
no,
D's
9%.
Nuts is technically a character. Oh, there must be laws. Oh, this is confusing. I love it. And he's Rick Perry, seriously,
This is
going
why-
for it again.
This is why two-party electoral systems don't work.
Both parties are bastards.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the thing is, when I watched a bit of it, I thought Rand Paul. I support Rand Paul. I stand with Rand. But I thought when he was up against Christie in the whole, getting a warrant. I think it's the Fourth Amendment. Get a warrant to look.
Oh, that was definitely.
It was very shouty, and he was very. It was just like Harry Rand. Don't be your father, please. Don't shout.
Problem is, if you go down that route, you just look like a nutcase. But I don't think Chris Christie and Rand Paul like each other very much.
They
Oh
don't.
no! Supposedly they're both campaigning for the libertarian bit of the vote. So
Are they?
Chris Christie?
Chris Christie is meant to be like the moderate one that everyone who doesn't usually vote Republican will vote for. Same with Rand Paul, which I've always thought was kind of funny.
I think it's hilarious that you portray yourself as libertarian, but you're against same-sex marriage and all.
American libertarians, for the most part, aren't libertarians.
That's very true. Unless they are with the Libertarian
Apart from
Party
Clint Eastwood,
itself.
who is a full libertarian.
There's like, Breitbart, it's extremely right. On their site, they've got like a page to big government, and then on their main page, they've got a page like advocating banning abortion. Like, big government.
Breitbart.
I quite like Breitbart.
I'll get the fuck out, John.
Breitbart is. If it was a newspaper or something of that sort, I genuinely would stop buying toilet roll. Because that's how bad it is. It really gets on my bloody nerves. Because they do go on as they're such self-righteous libertarians. Oh, we don't want big government. We just want to stop you from doing this, that, and the other. And you're the moral decay of society. And they get right on my tits, frankly.
And that's what really annoyed me about the Republican debate, because many of them were saying, oh, we need to fight big government. And then 10 minutes later, they're saying, yeah, let's keep banning drugs, let's keep banning abortion, let's keep banning same-sex marriage. How the hell can you moan about big government?
Well, that's because complaining about big government is very easy to do, and it's quite a popular thing to do, because nobody likes, nanny state, getting involved, and this,
UKIP is very, very similar to this, by the way, John. So,
yeah.
They'll have a job keep banning same-sex marriage, to be fair. But
when you get power, what do you do with it? Everyone wants to get into power to give it away. Cameron wanted to do that with localism. So he put Eric Pickles in charge of it. As soon as one of the councils did something Pickles didn't like, he forced them to reverse it. And I think they're
doing that with fracking now.
They are, yeah. And it's quite hilarious because they came into power basically saying if local councils want to do anything that isn't already prohibited by central government, go ahead and do it. And then they've been forcing councils to do what they want. It's pathetic, quite frankly.
Well, a big part of that also, Leon, is they're just radically cutting their budget and then saying, oh, why aren't you cutting taxes? Why aren't you cutting taxes? Well, we can't because you're cutting our budget.
Do you know who to ask about where to cut a council budget? It's not the councillors, it's the workers. Seriously, you'll find a lot more sensible solutions.
Well, this is always the problem with government, though. They ask the wrong people when they ask for cuts.
Yeah.
Because
no, the banks are going into trouble. Who should we ask about this problem? I know, let's ask the bankers.
Yeah. A relative of mine actually works for Doncaster Council. He cleans up things out on the roads and on the walls and stuff like that. Yeah. And he was talking to me about it, and himself, some of the people they work with a little bit of help with the union, they put together their own sort of budget that would stop job cuts, but cut the money that was necessary. They basically cut a lot of crap. Essentially, it's what we would normally call waste. Cut all the courses that they send on,
the shit
courses, and things like that. And they got closer to balancing the budget, and the council rejected it.
Similar story. I know a couple of people who work for local government and for the civil service, and they're forever going on about how they're being made to do cuts, and the things that cut are always people. And people have to do more work, and it's never like, oh, you have to go on this study course here, or you have to go on this month-long thing here with hotels paid for.
But the thing is, and I hate to make it a party political point, but especially for Doncaster Council, it's a lot easier for Labour-run Doncaster Council to cut workers and then say, oh, but them evil Tories made us do it, than it is for them to actually deal with the problem without
how many Labour councils has it been that put up poster campaigns for thousands of pounds going, we're being made to do cuts?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before. They do it all the time.
What was your Labour Stoke Council doing, Lily, again?
What do you mean?
About giving 300,000 £200,000 to a company to find out where they can cut.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous. But but Matthew, that was currently done by the independent. They've done at the moment, in terms of the city independents, is that they asked a commission, or I don't know what they asked. They asked something entity to find cuts, and they'll give them 20% of the cuts down. But yeah, for instance, that's really. But for example, the Stoke's really important early on because what they're going to do, the city independents, is because local councils have already been faced with significant cuts. Because the Tories are still in government, they're going to enforce more cuts. They're going to cut shore staff. And that was one thing the Labour Council did last 2011 or 2012. They were considering shore staff. And with the Tories and coalition here now in Stoke, they're going to cut stuff. And so many of the cuts, although I can understand your point about councils can do more, but if they are generally forced to cut libraries and cut public swimming pools and shore staff, then surely yes, we should make local government more effective. Sometimes cuts are just simply too far, especially in northern towns and the West Midlands, and especially when they're facing more cuts than actual Tory areas in the south.
Yeah, but why aren't the Tory areas in the south getting many cuts?
And they'll vote
honestly.
But if you're probably going to say because the Tory areas.
Yes.
It's not. It's because they don't get as much money. The northern towns, they get more money because
why do they get more money though?
Because
they were
during the Labour years they
councils
went up year on year.
So the fact that northern towns and councils that do have Labour councils have to get on top of the budget anyway. They're spending too much, most of them anyway, on crap. The new mayor, I say the new mayor, she's been screwing up for a few years now. She said in 2011, she said, I don't care what cuts come, I'm going to save our care homes, they're not going anywhere, and this, that, and the other. Soon as she got into office, first thing she decided to cut was care homes and blamed the Tories. In this area anyway, I can't comment on other councils, but Hull's another one as well. But in Doncaster and Hull, the easiest thing for Labour to do, and all they do, is just blame the Tories. That's their whole strategy. On Hull City Council, there are only 2 Tories, and Labour's favourite thing to do is point to these 2
okay,
and blame
Leon,
them.
I'll provide another example, an opposite. The Welsh Government, for instance. The Welsh Government has consistently had billions of pounds cut off their budget. And so they've been
you're not going to defend the Welsh Government's record?
Oh, absolutely. Of course I am. I'm proud.
No Welsh
I'm
Labour
always
person
going to
I met,
defend
no
Labour.
Welsh
They're perfect.
person. What?
Of course I am. They're amazing.
I have yet to meet a Welsh Labour member who's said, "Oh, Welsh Labour are great."
They're amazing. Trust me, John. They do so much good.
No one but the Welsh Labour Assembly members and you liked Welsh Labour.
John, the fact that they've rejected having a gender identity clinic for trans people in Wales, I think that's amazing. They've done an incredible job in Wales. An amazing job. But for instance, Leon,
I can factually point that Welsh Labour is the worst regional government.
Okay, they've made a lot of mistakes. Okay, John, I accept that. But they've had their budget cut by billions, Leon, and then they were forced to cut through the NHS, and the Tories were like, oh, but we can't. So the Tories can be just as bad, Leon.
Forced to cut.
Yes.
So a minister went to Wales and said to him, "You cut the NHS, you bastards, or I swear to God, I'm going to kill your kitten."
You said that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is that what happened?
Is that what happened?
I don't think that exactly happened. It's probably close.
I don't think
probably
it
a
did
similar
either.
situation.
I don't think they got the Welsh First Minister in a headlock and said, "You twat, I want you to cut the NHS." I think what happened was the Conservatives cut the Welsh budget, and Labour said, "We'll cut the NHS then." And then what happened then is a bit of a war of words, where Labour say it's your fault and the Tories say it's your fault, and it's the poor buggers in the middle who have to use the service in Wales who end up having to go to England.
I don't know. I still use Welsh services because free prescriptions are amazing. I get all my heart medicine for free.
Is it a life condition?
I live here, I turn up at the Welsh pharmacy and they give me drugs.
No, I mean your heart condition, is that for life?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, in theory, I would have thought you should get it free anyway.
Oh, no.
Oh, nice of you, Leon.
The drugs are on off, but the condition is forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, living in Wales is great.
It's
They
not
spend
Yorkshire, though,
they
is it?
spend money like it's going out of fashion.
Right, I think
That's the problem.
I think now we've got on to the living in Wales is great. I think that's a good time. I think we're all getting tired now. I think the tiredness has got to us now.
We need to start watching Emmerdale more.
The tiredness has got to us right
What's
now.
Emmerdale?
Emmerdale is this boring TV program.
It's a
anyone who
fantastic
watches
show
has no life,
set in the best part of the UK.
which is not Yorkshire.
John has started to say that living in Wales is great, so I think that's.
To be honest with you, I kind of
perfect
agree
time.
with John that living in
You
Wales
live in
is
Cardiff,
Right,
Oh,
can we
that's-
just
that's
finish
great.
up here? Finish up, because I don't want to be in a conversation where living in Wales is great. It's
By
been
the way,
mentioned
guys,
twice.
Donald Trump is a bomb. Just saying.
Donald
Anyway,
Trump is
No,
the
Donald
toppest
Trump.
alpha ever.
And
Anyway.
Donald Trump tops Tim Farron. Donald Trump.
I think we can end this now. Let's finish up here, guys.
Can you just imagine Donald Trump?
No,
like,
I can't.
actually
Stop
top-
it.
All right, then we're
top a
finishing
Tim
now.
Farron.
Can we
Anyway.
finish,
Just
guys?
pounding Tim
Matthew,
Farron's
can
ass.
Stop.
Matthew, can I close the show, for fuck's sake. I'm trying to close the show. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to Leon. You did a great job today advocating the Tory view. Thanks for being on the show, Leon.
Right.
Thanks to John, who lambasted immigrants, the EU, the fascists in Brussels.
I don't think
Very
you
much.
got onto that, actually.
Oh, we didn't get on. Oh,
Right, okay. Next half of the program.
Anyway, so thanks for that, John. Thank you to Matthew. You did a great job as normal. Thanks for being on the show, Matthew.
It's all right. I like how you say ambassador in the Tory party. Yeah, and like did a great job as usual. My friend.
He does that all the time.
Look, I'm a sarcastic bastard, okay? I hate all of them.
That's true.
That's the way I do. So
By
thank
the
everyone
way, if
who-
anyone wants to come on the show, do get in touch with us.
yeah. So if you want to come on the show, just tweet me and Miss Lily Summers. You can tweet Leon at.
Leon_French01
You can tweet Leon, or you can tweet. I think it's the Polcast. Is that our
at the
Twitter handle?
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can tweet us at the Polcast, and we'll definitely put you on the show next week or the week.
If
after
you
that.
say you're coming on and then you don't, I will.
Yeah, if you say you're coming on, and then on the night I send you a message on Facebook, like, are you coming on? And you don't respond, then you're never coming on again. Okay, so don't do that. It pisses me off.
Don't
So
be that
thanks.
guy or gal
Don't be that guy. Okay, so
or duck.
all that. So thank you to everyone who listened to the podcast tonight. Yeah.
Good night.
Ran 2016.
Good night, guys.
Tim Farron's a bottom.
Donald Trump pounding Tim Farron.